So Endymion states that they actually had animations and finalized art for the originally intended Japanese character for AC Shadows.
The following program contains naughty bits.
I think I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. But apart from that crazy opening, folks, we have to talk about Ubisoft yet again. Why? Because Assassin's Creed Shadows is in a lot of trouble at the moment. You might remember I made a video last week where I suggested that they're still going on that DEI steam train into the Tunnel of Wokesville with the character of Yasuke. Well, guess what, folks? And you can stop flashing those titties as well, actually. Put them away until I finish this video. Do you understand? Anyway. When you see this latest story, folks, and I'm going to go further into this, yeah, February the 14th, 2025, it's a placeholder date, all right? Hold your horses because you can have a romantic evening with your loved one and forget about Assassin's Creed Shadows even being released on that date. Because I tell you what, it ain't gonna happen.
The name's Nukem. Duke Nukem. No, I'm not here to kick ass or chew bubblegum. I'm not here to get even with those alien bastards for shooting up my ride either. I'm here to tell you to watch Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. So watch out for him. And his babes of the 1980s. Oh, and one more thing. Hail to the king, baby.
I'm getting deja vu with these headlines from that part place because, again, it's another rumor, folks. Assassin's Creed Shadows originally featured a Japanese main character and game could be delayed even further. Now remember with Flintlock, that Sweet Baby Inc. game where the original protagonist was a white female, they got rid of her and they've replaced her with some ugly black version instead. And also, what was the other character? Well, you had Angrboda in God of War Ragnarok, a red-headed Norse female god, replaced her with yet another Negress, or Negress, as we used to say. And also, Alan Woke 2, Detective Saga. And what do they do with her? You get the drift, right? So I am not entirely surprised to see this. When I heard this rumor over the weekend, I thought, yeah, I can't pretend I've got insiders in the gaming industry to tell me these things. The rumor from YouTube Endymion, who alleges to have spoken with a number of individuals at Ubisoft, the same as Legendary Drops, by the way, who have worked with the company in the past, claims that the game could be delayed even further and that the game originally featured a male Japanese protagonist instead of Yasuke. Now, what I'm going to say at this stage is, if you really, Ubisoft, wanted to shoehorn Yasuke into your game, he could have been a side character that the main character, the nameless samurai with no name, could interact with. That people might have been okay with that. But when you suddenly say, oh no, you know what, we'll make him the main protagonist, the main star of the film. Again, you're getting in fake historians like Tom Lockley, who comes in there and says, yes, talking to a gormless black man. Oh, yeah. There was absolutely this black person in history who was an absolute warrior, superstar, rock star in a village.
Person of African descent to be seen in the center of Japan, and he's a star. He's literally almost treated like a god. And the fact that he must have been really scared. There were thousands of people trying to get at him. The building was being pulled down around him. There were people dying in the crowd because they were crushed.
Endymion shared, my source told me, however, that they heard February 2025 is simply a placeholder release date as of now. Apparently, this is because Ubisoft is scrambling and they need certain key talent in order to assist on Q2 game releases. What I've also heard is that what Ubisoft are doing at the moment is that they're removing very senior, very experienced game devs and replacing them with inexperienced young ones. So how does that work in the grand scheme of things? And I said in the video last week that Ubisoft was scrambling on their sinking ship deck, right, to get things off the ground. I think it's so funny. It serves them right. Also as well, I heard this rumor, again, I think it was some legendary drops, where apparently designing a hot female character is a big no-no at Ubisoft. Ooh, how dare they? So Endymion states that they actually had animations and finalized art for the originally intended Japanese character for AC Shadows. They don't know if the character will be reintroduced to replace Yasuke, but they are skeptical that Ubisoft will actually remove him altogether due to the political, backlash they'll get from journalists and so on. Well, who gives a total F about what journalists think? Because the journalists are just as bad as Ubisoft for shilling for this absolute nonsense about a black samurai who's never actually a black samurai in feudal ancient Japan. A black samurai, by the way, who kills innocent Japanese villagers. Think about that. If it was a white guy doing that, oh, it's an absolute, he's racist. You can't have him doing that. Black guy does it, oh, you get a pass. There you go. Next, he shared details about the game. They did say that the game's first act is heavily story-driven until it eventually opens up in your more traditional open-world Ubisoft experience, which reminds me because apparently in the first 15 minutes of the game, if you don't like Yasuke, you can turn the game off. That's what one of the developers of Ubisoft actually stated. I thought that was so arrogant. Why would you say that?
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
So they could remove Yasuke with this already done, but throwing aside the Japanese character, it's a big maybe, but they said they weren't sure of it yet. They also told me they heard rumblings that Sweet Baby Inc. may have had a hand in Snados, but they can't confirm 100% yet either. So take that allegation with a big fat shot of skepticism right now, which makes absolutely all the sense I think it can make, to be honest. Again, he did say that they were... Apparently, when the animators saw Yasuke for the first time at Ubisoft, the word horrified came to mind. Like, what the F are you doing, guys? Why did we have a Japanese character and they even made him a tokenized character? You're tokenizing a Japanese person into a black person. It's so funny. When asked why Ubisoft chose Yasuke over the male Japanese counterpart, Endymion revealed they said that Ubisoft was heavily influenced by the socio-political events of the time, 2020, like George Floyd and Black Lives Matters exploding. Right, I'm just going to switch it to my angry screen here again. Now, this is what I think, folks. George Floyd, appalling what happened to him, but what's actually more egregious after all of that is the fake narrative that black people were marginalized. When this whole hashtag Black Lives Matters all started to get traction, I was sat there thinking to myself, why are these morons in London going on a march in support of Black Lives Matters when that's not really applicable to people here? And when I dared to challenge the narrative about, well, all lives matter, what happened? I got rebuked. I got laughed at. But who's laughing now, you simpletons? J.J. Abrams, the filmmaker, well, allegedly he is one, even quoted no white privilege after the GF incident.
Okay, so white privilege is when white people, particularly men, automatically assume they can take whatever they want.
Step aside, please. We have white privilege.
When I see memes like this, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and this guy, Hefiat75, who is a YouTuber who actually takes clips and uploads them and makes a commentary or two. So he's one to talk about us being grifters when he's doing his own minimal grifting on the side. Man, these guys just hate this game. So much they got to use a dead guy to bash it. I'm so glad I left the grift. And of course, the Yasuke on the left, now deep-faked into George Floyd on the right. Now, I think that's hilarious because at the end of the day, this is what Ubisoft is supporting. What does it matter, dude? Do it. This is a fictional game you're creating. It's not no video game should be based on real-world events. Unless you're Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 from 2010 or 11, when you had the little girl and her mum getting blown up by a terrorist bomb in London. Absolutely have that stuff in there because it's on the nose. It makes you think, it's chilling, it's absolutely fantastic for the video game, that is, and it makes a point.
Don't go too far. Birds! Look, Mommy, there's birds! That's your daughter. You know she gets that from you.
So I think, again, Ubisoft are just, they're clueless at this stage. They really absolutely are. And I will say that there might be a bit of glimmer of hope if you're a Ghost Recon fan, because a video channel or YouTube channel I'm a big fan of, A Squad Gaming, he's a big fan of the Ghost Recon series like I am. I'm not as fanatical as this guy is, but it's interesting what he says here, because Ubisoft were doing this thing where they were reaching out to people who had played the game for many hours online. They were sent an email by Ubisoft, and this is what they actually asked. So here's a survey that Ubisoft sent out to people who've been playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint for quite a number of hours, maybe the last couple of years, about what the next Ghost Recon property should be. Okay, well, should it be a first-person shooter? How important is a storyline, a mature storyline? And I think, you know, if you've played Wildlands, you know that you need a mature storyline. You can't have Ghost Recon with pride flags and hippity-doppity, skippity-scoopity on the path of war, can you? You don't have that. So A Squad Gaming posted this like yesterday, and I think it's interesting to see if Ubisoft Paris will even take note of this now, because I think what's happening is that, like the Tom Clancy name and license, Ubisoft have to create something in relation to that before they lose the rights to use Tom Clancy's name in any video game they're making future, which is why they're trying to get a Splinter Cell remake out of the gate as soon as they can. Same thing with Marvel, right? You know, you see Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, all those guys. They have to keep making those films on a cyclical basis, otherwise, again, they will lose the right to those characters. So I find it interesting at the moment that Ubisoft have all these troubles with AC Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws, and I've always said this, they need to go back to what made them great again. Personally, what I like to see return in the Clancy universe is Advanced Warfighter. I love those games. And they could really, can you imagine if they went to town and just built a brand new game from the ground up and just refined some of the occasional clunky controls? It would be amazing. You'd actually find a new audience again. Not the modern audience, but a brand new audience. Put a lot of money into it and just see what happens. But Ubisoft just seem to be too afraid to do anything anymore. It's like they're being held ransom, and I'm not quite sure who is doing the ransom holding. Is it BlackRock? Is it Vanguard? Is it Sweet Baby Inc? Who is it? What is it? Is it the people that run the ESRB? Because again, those folks who do the coding for the games, the certificate, like at what level you should play this at, they're all a bunch of evil naysayers as well. And if I were you, and if you were me, and you probably shouldn't want to be at this stage in my life, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to subscribe, to maybe like or dislike this video, and I'll catch you. And yes, I will catch you, and when I find you, I have no idea what I'll do to you, but if you got big titties, then we can sit down and negotiate at the table. I'll catch you returning for me on my next video.
You see, Juntao, because he told me to come down here, because I'm his half brother from Beijing. Me and him got the same mama. I'm Blackanese. We all the same. Oh, hey, man, wait a minute.